My name is Brian Lamb, and I'm the editor of Wirecutter.com. Wirecutter is a really different kind of tech site. It's basically a highly researched answer to these very basic questions of what do I get. So there's no news, there aren't even features, it's just answering that question among different categories. And so we have about 100 pieces since launch which just answer that question. What TV do I get? What camera do I get? What air conditioner do I get? Because I have an editorial background, I started with the service and the content itself, and I wanted it to be really honest, and I wanted to talk about truths like, instead of saying this year's Panasonic TV has got the best picture, I'd want to say, you know, for the last 7 years, Panasonic has had the best TVs, so I'm going to say that this one's probably going to be the best too. And there are these truths that are pervasive, and they require context above and beyond what's in a single review. So I wanted to include that stuff in there. I wanted it to feel honest and truthful, even if it meant I wouldn't have as much traffic, because instead of doing 100 TV pieces a year, I'd only do 3. And so working from that point, I had to figure out lots of different things. The two major ones were, well, there's layout, the design, because we weren't doing reverse chronological like a blog. We wanted to make it like a list, so we had to experiment with this list format. The other two things that are really important, I think, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, are that current advertising models are based on high volume, and so we needed to evaluate how we were going to pay writers based off of lower volume of content. So each of our posts takes between 4 and I'd say 30 hours to create, which I can't think of anyone else who's doing that on a regular basis for all their major work. And that's made all the difference. You know, editorials like fashion. In the beginning, there weren't enough people doing aggregation. Now everyone's doing aggregation. So I knew to make a difference, we needed to go deeper, which is rare these days. The other thing was that I needed to re-engineer how people were paid. During my time at Gawker, we did a lot of experimenting with bonuses and pay schemes, and I was pretty interested to see how it would affect everyone. It didn't matter who they were. If they were hardworking, smart people, they would always react in a really subtle way to what their pay scheme was. And so I knew that if I'd paid people per post, when you pay people on a flat rate, they're incentivized, naturally, I would be, to do the work kind of as quickly as possible. When you pay people per word, they tend to go longer. But I wanted to pay people for their time. I think time is a great metric. And, you know, the worst that could happen would be somebody spent more time working, researching. And since the core of our work is research and not words, I was happy with that. I wanted to do that. And that's made a lot of difference, because I don't have any guilt as an editor asking people to go back for a 4th round of research or editing. And I think that translates into the pieces, why they have so much authority. What I realized was, if you're running a big company, big publication, you can't really dedicate your homepage to these picks, because these picks don't make a lot of traffic. It's not about traffic at the Wirecutter. It's about getting people the advice, and then, you know, if they click through and they buy something using an affiliate link, we get a little money there. So reader interests and editorial interests are really aligned in terms of, here's content that's going to help me. If it really helps me, I'm going to buy something. If I buy something, Wirecutter will make money. If I don't agree with their choice, or they haven't convinced me that this is the best pick because their research seems shoddy, then I'm not going to buy it through there, and they're not going to get any money. So you can't really put this kind of list on another site, because I don't know many editorial budgets that can afford to support pieces that take 30 hours to write on a regular basis. The way advertising's set up, it rewards volume. It doesn't reward depth. And right now, you know, Wirecutter doesn't need to do that. You know, we've only done 100 pieces in 9 months. I don't think you can imagine that as a pitch for someone raising money to start a publication. We're going to do 100 pieces in 9 months on average, maybe 130 pieces a year. Do you think we can make money on this? People would probably say, looking at the climate of advertising and how it's formed and how it's shaped and how it depends on high volume, not necessarily high quality. And they would probably say, no, I'm not going to give you money for that idea. So it was pretty easy for me to figure out that I needed to re-engineer the whole thing from the bottom up to make it work.